I'm here with Julio Rosas with Town Hall, and you have done so many stories from the protests and riots last year, and now you've been working on the border. So you've done a lot, and so there's a lot to talk about. Now, last year, after the death of George Floyd, you saw riots all across the country, Minneapolis, Portland, and Republicans, held that against Democrats and used that during the election. But now, after January 6th, Democrats are holding that against Republicans.
Yeah.
Do you think it's something that Democrats can hold to the Republicans and use it against them? Do you think it really makes a big difference to Americans after what happened last year?
So I think, so I covered, like as you're saying, I covered all the riots last year, and I also covered January 6th. So I've seen it all, and I think there is kind of neither of them should be politicized, in my opinion, right? I know that's kind of cliche to say X issue should be politicized, but this is one of the things because this affected everyday American lives, right? I mean, the entire cities were thrown into chaos, and it just kept happening all throughout last year. And so I think it was wrong for the Democrats last year to try to downplay what was happening in their own states and try to say that it was mostly peaceful and whatever. And don't get me wrong, there were peaceful protests, absolutely, but there were also violent moments. And so when it comes to January 6th, again, that shouldn't have happened. That was wrong that it happened. And so, but it's just interesting now that they're trying, they're literally the party of defunding the police, and now they're trying to say, oh, well, Republicans don't care about police now. And so I think, there is definitely hypocrisy there on the Democratic side. When there were violent moments in American cities, and they didn't care about that, or were some of them in Congress kind of fanned the flames a little bit. And so, no, I think they know they're being hypocritical, but it's just the unfortunate things that how DC works.
And now you're hearing a lot of things about the border, and I know you've done a lot of work down there. You said you're in the Rio Grande Valley about 2 weeks ago. What are you seeing on the border, and how do you think it's going to impact Americans' lives, and maybe even the midterm elections next year?
Yeah. No, so yeah, I mean, the Biden administration wants to say that the border is closed and secure, and it's not. Right now, as we're talking, 800 miles southwest, people are crossing, right? And they are, it's a very sad thing to see, because you got unaccompanied kids, you got women, and the whole point that we want to try to de-incentivize people taking that dangerous journey is because a lot of them get killed, they get sold into slavery, sex trade. I mean, there's a lot of bad things that happen when they try to make the journey up north. So that's why when the Biden administration is incentivizing that, they're helping facilitate and enriching the cartels and human smugglers, which is like people that we shouldn't want help out, right? So I think it definitely will be a major theme in the midterms, just because it's not going to get better. We should very soon be getting the June apprehension numbers on the Southwest, and from what I'm hearing, it's going to still be about 170,000, 180,000, and that is for the 5th month in a row. It's very high. That's not normal, and so President Biden, he's polling. That's his worst polling on this issue is immigration, and so I think they definitely will have a role to play in the midterms, and Republicans have been hammering them on that, as they should, because this was totally preventable. It didn't need to be this current crisis that we're seeing right now, and it does affect everyday American lives. Sure, people are crossing on the border towns, but there's more to it than that. There's drugs, there's workers on cartel farms further within the United States. The cartels are operating in the United States, so I mean, it's not just a border issue per se. It does affect Americans for the month.
Now, you did a story on the cartels, I think it was in Los Angeles, correct?
Yeah.
Tell us about that. What was your reporting on that?
Yeah, so that was a very interesting story because it was about the illegal marijuana farms in northern Los Angeles County, and they are expanding their operations. It's insane how much they've grown just in the past year, and there's residents that live out there. The cartels are slowing their water. They're threatening them. They are following them in some cases. I mean, these are very, very nasty, very, very bad people, evil people that are operating very freely within the United States, which was pretty shocking here, because this is Los Angeles County. This is one of the most populous counties in the entire United States. And so, but because it's happening out in the desert, it's a little bit more the remote areas, that's how it's become this big problem. So the Sheriff's Department out there, along with DEA, they're starting to combat them. They, on this recent bust, they got $1.9 billion in marijuana in this last year. And they only got about 40% of the farms. There's still so many that are still out there. Mm-hmm. And that's just Los Angeles County. San Bernardino County, they counted 860. And so, it's not about the drug, right? Because, at least marijuana is not like fentanyl or any of the more hardcore drugs, but it's the people behind it that is the main issue. And it's cartels, and it's, again, they're taking advantage of the illegal workers that are there. And so no one's benefiting from this, again, except for the drug trafficking organizations.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for your time. Oh, all right. Let's see, you have time?
Yeah, we go.
So, we're also really divided right now as a country. And I think whether Republican or Democrat, you could agree with that. Yeah. So what do you think kids my age could do to help unite the country?
Man. I mean, I think just showing the issues that can help unite Americans, right? Because everyone agrees, if we want to talk about the border again, everyone agrees that like human trafficking is not good. So, highlighting instances of that, like, okay, so let's work together to figure out how to de-incentivize and how to take on human traffickers. And then, like, drug cartels, right? No one wants to deal with them. And so, I think, especially in the unique position that you're in, is just highlighting those stories to show that, like, we may disagree on how to get there, but we should at least lay the groundwork to start working towards a solution. And, I don't know what the future holds. I really don't. Yeah, the riots of last year really opened my eyes onto just how crazy things have gotten. And, thankfully they died down now, or they're not happening. I mean, they were literally happening every other week. I'm so busy. Right. And so I think with you specifically, you can just highlight those issues and showcase that, things are bad, but there is common ground on many of these issues, and it's just a matter of finding the right way to go about to solve them.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.